Welcome again in this extended edition of Eyewitness News Saturday Morning.
Yes, and as I just mentioned, we are temporarily breaking away from the network coverage of the terrorist bombing in Atlanta, but we are continually monitoring the network and will be resuming with live coverage from the Olympic Games during this broadcast.
And also keeping in mind that your day will be going on as usual here in Baltimore. We will get you up to speed on what's going on your weekend here. Of course, if you're going out and around today, you do have great temperatures and all. And of course, the big story of the day here locally is a planned implosion. That'll be going on down at Lexington Terrace downtown, and we will have live team coverage of that event as the morning unfolds, of course. Right now, though, let's get you up to speed on outside. Right now, expect clear skies. Take a look quickly at our temperatures. It's 63 degrees right now here at 8:36 on your Saturday morning. Right now, expect clear skies, definitely, as we said, though, and just an absolutely wonderful day. Pleasant throughout the morning, mostly sunny. Light breeze you can expect no matter where you're going to be, in 86 degrees. If you're going to be out through the afternoon, just expect a comfortable evening, approaching a full moon. Mostly clear tonight, low humidity, and the low will be between 55 to about 64 degrees. And then, of course, tomorrow, mostly sunny with some clouds increasing. Evening showers could be expected, high about 82 to 62 degrees. And we'll have a complete AccuWeather 5-day forecast in just a little while. But right now, we want to get you up to date on what's going on in Atlanta as well as what's going on here in Baltimore.
Yes, let's get right to the local news. In stark contrast to those events that are happening in Atlanta this morning, the area around the Lexington Terrace high-rises is already filled with excitement and anticipation. And the weekend team's Kelly Saunders is right in the middle of it all, as usual. She begins our live team coverage from Franklin and Schroeder Streets. Kelly.
Good morning, Katie. I'll tell you, there is people were coming down to celebrate, have the parade. There's a groundbreaking this morning, and then gather and hug and laugh and cry to watch the implosion. We're here at the corner of Franklin and Schroeder. You're seeing all these people. Show them, Frank. We're getting ready. I don't know if you can see the stage over here. This is where HUD Secretary Henry Cisneros is going to be later on, joining the mayor, Kurt Schmoke, and a lot of dignitaries and VIPs. They're going to have quite a view right over here across to a wide shot at the buildings. The implosion is scheduled to happen in about 1 hour and 20 minutes. And this was a living experiment that failed, the Lexington Terrace was. Baltimore, I did not know this until talk of the implosion happened and I started looking into the behind-the-scenes story of public housing. This idea was a concept developed by an architect in the 1930s, and rather than spread out, move up. And we're going to show you the history of public housing and some of the people who've been directly affected by this experiment that failed right now.
I just began to think back at the memories as I watched the building go down in about 20 seconds. Everything was just gone.
My best memory is just, moving out of there, really.
It was sad to see it come down, but to make it better and make it a better community, it would be nice.
The public housing high-rise, a grand experiment in living that failed. In the early 30s, a European named Le Corbusier developed the concept of the radiant city.
The idea of this essentially was that you create places, you build up and create places where people live up.
People thought this was a good idea when it was
No, I know, we didn't. That was
You
a
didn't?
prison. No, it was a prison.
It's too many people too close together, and we all need some space.
Let's assume the Le Corbusier School of Architecture was a brilliant concept. By the time it got implemented, what got implemented was, let's build the units as small as we can. Let's cut the ceiling heights.
The commissioner says everything was built in the cheapest possible way, and the elevators, plumbing, and electrical systems were completely inadequate.
When 4 or 5 people decide to run their air conditioners at the same time in these buildings, they blow out the power. And so we have constant brownouts.
Describe life in the terrace.
It was breaking on the seniors. It was drugs. It was them hanging on the steps. It was fighting. It was carrying on. It was floods, garbage, anything you can name it was going on in there.
One of the things that happened there was that it became a good market for what I call the street corner drug peddlers, the street corner pharmacists. We had situations where at Lafayette Courts, for example, in Lexington Terrace, we had drug gangs literally take them over and fight the police for control.
And maintaining the high rises was an increasingly expensive, if not losing, proposition. The Housing Commission has been paying $1 million a year just to maintain the elevators.
So a major expense goes away when we get rid of these high-rise buildings simply because we're able to get rid of the elevator.
With the new townhomes come new tenant responsibilities.
From your front out to the middle of the curb is yours, and the same thing in the back. That's yours. You're supposed to take care of that.
This will give the people a sense of what's theirs. In that building, they did not have that.
It doesn't matter where you live, it's how you live.
And the Housing Commission is rethinking who will live in the new townhomes. Baltimore is the 5th largest provider of public housing with 18,000 units, but there's an additional 35,000 people on the waiting list.
People who are in public housing who have made a career out of public housing essentially are not making room for them.
The older people that are around here, why are we going to make them move? This young crowd coming in, give them some training, help them to move out.
So while there are problems still to be sorted out, tenants are optimistic about the future.
They'll be glad to see something different and new, and finally see something new. That'll make them feel new, and it'll make them go ahead and go for it.
I'm glad to see them go.
Why?
Because better things is coming for us.
You gonna cry on Saturday?
Well, sure, I'm going to cry on Saturday. It's sad to see the houses go because we miss the people. It's the people we miss. Hell with that high rise. It's the people. If they let me out, throw a bum today.
For the weekend team, I'm Kelly Saunders, Channel 13 Eyewitness News. Can you imagine $1 million a year per building just to maintain the elevators in these high rises? So there is going to be a substantial savings for the city once these high rises come down and garden apartments, two-story townhouses go in their place. One of the big questions is, gee, each of these buildings held 800 people apiece. Where's everybody gone, and how many people can move back in? Well, we're going to find that out as the morning goes on. And Katie, as you can imagine, people who expected to come down here and be happy and kind of be exuberant, everyone is quite subdued because of the events at the Olympics this morning.
Yes, I can imagine. Kelly, you mentioned that the fact that the size of these buildings were really their undoing. The new Lexington Terrace that is going to be built, is it going to be focusing a lot more on the family unit?
Absolutely. Part of it is it's going to be each unit is a row home. They're going to be mixed ownership and renters in there, and everybody who gets a spot in there is going to be responsible for maintaining the grass in the front and the grass in the back and taking responsibility, and if they don't take the responsibility, they're out of there.
And Kelly, you alluded to the mood down there this morning as a lot of people responding to the events in Atlanta. What are people saying down there today? I imagine they're shocked.
Everyone down here, if you just look around, I mean, there's supposed to be smiles on faces.
Sure. Everyone
is quite subdued, stunned, and they're talking about the irony of the day that, gosh, at 1:30 this morning, those pipe bombs go off, and we're here gathering to celebrate a completely different kind of bombing. Thank goodness in Baltimore this morning. But everyone's commenting on the irony and the shock that the Olympics, with all that preparation, are so vulnerable. It's a very interesting mix. It's a very interesting mix of moods down here this morning, Katie.
Well, Kelly, we'll be checking back with you a little bit later in the newscast. Thank you very much for that live report. Kelly Saunders reporting live. And Eyewitness News crews were out at the crack of dawn this morning, by the way, to beat the crowds. A lot of crowds down there.
Well, the city is expecting a large live audience for today's implosion, but if you're planning on seeing it in person, we should warn you, it's not going to be easy getting around down there. Now, starting at 8 o'clock, which was just about 45 minutes ago, the square block area surrounded by Franklin Street to the north, Baltimore Street to the south, Green Street to the east, and Calhoun Street to the west is closed to traffic and pedestrians. But pedestrians can go as far as Poppleton Street to view the implosion. Now, the city hopes to reopen all of the streets by 11 o'clock with one exception. And that exception would be Franklin Street from Martin Luther King to Calhoun will remain closed until about 3 o'clock. Now, if you're just passing through, your best bet is to stay away from that area because detour signs will be posted. So it looks like getting around by car will be no easy task this morning. But we will tell you now with the traffic team's Mike Stevens how it is going down there. Mike, what is going on downtown? I can imagine it's a mess.
Well, thanks a lot, Tim. Yeah, it is. We are having some problems, of course, through that area as folks are detouring around. A lot of folks, believe it or not, haven't heard about this, and so we're trying to figure out which way to go. Police are directing you around the scene, so just follow their direction if you're moving there. If you can't avoid the area at all, stay to 40 on both sides and stay to Charles Street if you're going north and south out of the downtown area. Looking ahead on the road to the beach right now, things are moving well if you're getting out of the city. Bay Bridge down 404 to the Delaware route's looking good. Also 50 down through to Ocean City is running well, and also the 95 route up if you're taking that way to get out and head to Delaware or New Jersey, both running well. That's the latest on the roads around. Back to you, Katie.
All right, thank you very much, and we'll be checking in with more traffic updates too. A colorful traffic jam, though, on the parking lot of Harlem Mark Middle School. That's where they're getting ready for a big parade. Let's float on over to the weekend team's Ron Natz, who's live at Harlem Park. Hey, Ron, how's it going?
All right, Katie, good morning to you. I'm going to have to hold the mic a little close. As you can hear, the bands are warming up. They're ready to kick off this parade to begin the pre-implosion activities. Let me give you an idea of the parade route first. This will all start in just a few minutes at Edmondson Avenue and Calhoun Street, and then we'll turn down Schroeder and then go over the Schroeder Street Bridge, and the parade will end at Franklin Street in front of a reviewing stand. We've got the Charm City Challengers, the new addition. The Sandtown Infinity Marchers are getting ready, and behind me, the group that's warming up are the new Baltimore Rockers, and they are rocking indeed, that's for sure. Once again, the parade will step off in a few minutes, and we will be about 1 hour, 10 minutes away from the implosion. Something very interesting this morning, controlled demolition has been on site for weeks preparing for today. And today's preparation began about 5:30 this morning. City workers swept the towers of Lexington Terrace for vagrants and animals that may have wandered into the buildings overnight. Police are securing the boundaries around a 72 square block area. They're going to be using 700 pounds of dynamite. They will be placing that dynamite in about 2,300 holes drilled into the support columns of the 5 towers, and Lexington Terrace in about 1 hour and 15 minutes will pass into Baltimore's history. Katie, back to you.
I don't know if you're aware of it, Ron, but there's a gentleman behind you, and he's changing his clothes. I think he's wrapped it up now.
I'll tell you, there's been a lot of changing of clothes here this morning as this parade gets ready to kick off. The parade, once again, is going to go down to the reviewing stand at Franklin Street, where all the dignitaries are, and that's where we're going to be a little bit later. So I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
Terrific. We'll see you then. Thank you very much, Ron, for that live report, and we're going to be checking in again with Ron to get front row seats as that parade starts moving. So if we can't convince you to stay put in front of your TV, here are the places that you can go to witness this historic event. The corner of Baltimore Street and Fremont Avenue at Fremont and Poppleton, and also here on the map, as you see, the corner of Lexington and Green Streets, and the corner of Saratoga and Green Streets. But of course, our recommendation, as usual, for the best view of the implosion is to keep tuned right here to Channel 13.
3 cameras all around the area. We will have it all nailed down for you all through the morning, straight through till about 11 o'clock. But if you are going out there, I guess it's kind of an implosion forecast, so to speak. If you're going out, you can expect a very, very nice day. It's about 63 degrees right now. Temperatures all around the area ranging from 63 to about 70 degrees right now. Expect a high of about 86 throughout the rest of the morning. And that's about it for now. We'll have more AccuWeather updates as the morning progresses.
Sounds like a beautiful day.
Yes, sure is.
Well, all morning long, we've been reporting to you about the dramatic events that have been unfolding in Atlanta. We're going to rejoin now the CBS Network news coverage for the latest events. Coverage of the bombing incident in Atlanta. We're going to be breaking away now from CBS for a few moments.
We're going downtown now to Lexington Terrace, at least the site of the implosion today. We're going now to Eyewitness News reporter Kelly Saunders, who is standing by live. Kelly, good morning. It's been an eventful morning for you, too.
Oh, it sure has. It sure has, I'll tell you. They just finished the speeches. All the dignitaries, folks from Controlled Demolition. Secretary Cisneros is here, spoke with me earlier, talking about that he had just gotten off the phone with the president's people, and there's true mixed emotions down here. A siren was supposed to go off with a 10-minute warning before the implosion. No siren went off. However, Commissioner Henson just said on stage about 2 minutes ago that the implosion should go off in 4 minutes. So that gives us 2 minutes. We have a 3-minute warning to the implosion. In 3 minutes, life will change forever. Let's hope, not only for the people who once lived there, the people who hope to move back in when it is garden apartments, and hopefully, as Secretary Cisneros said, it means nothing is coming down. A new way of life is coming up, and this is just the beginning of it. But a lot of the people that you see right here lived in these empty buildings. Some of them are residents of Lafayette Court who have come to lend moral support because they know the mixed emotions that you feel as a tenant when you're watching what has been your home, in many cases for 40 years, turn into dust in a matter of seconds. What we understand is the furthest building on the left is the one that's going to be going down first, and then ping, ping, ping like dominoes. They're just going to drop down coming toward us. We're fortunate here at the intersection of Franklin and Schroeder in that the wind is blowing against us, and I think the dust, once this implosion happens, is going to stay over on that part of town and away from us. Let's hope so. We've heard that there's a 1-minute warning. We're hearing 1 minute. We're hearing the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Watch over here. Where is it? Yeah. They're saying, is everybody ready? That was a practice run. Yes, we can all count to 10. I think they were a little premature on that countdown. Obviously they were. Let's get our, where's my mask? Oh, here it is. There we go. 9, 8, 7, 6. Now we'll see. Bye-bye. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wow. Whoa. Ow. Oh, my gosh. Ow. Whoa. Wow. Well, I'll tell you, as soon as the buildings went down, the cheering went up. People are dancing and going, yay, and
Kelly?
we are, it was quite a show down here. I didn't need my mask.
Kelly, can you hear us?
Yeah?
Oh, I was just going to ask you, you were talking about the masks. Now, that was the one concern. There was a health hazard that as soon as those buildings went down, that enough smoke and soot and ash would start to fly, and people with any health problems might need to clear out of there. What does it seem like down there to you?
Well, I'll tell you what, fortunately from where I am on an overpass, all the dust is going that way. Now, I understand from residents, the dust is heading away from us. I understand that people who live on that side of Lexington Terrace were asked to please leave their homes for the controlled demolition, just so they wouldn't have all this dust and ash right in their faces for their own protection. So a lot of people came up on this side of the explosions just for this reason, to get out of the stream of the dust and the dirt.
Well, Kelly, 38 years of hopes and dreams just gone like that in a puff of smoke. Can you ask a couple of people who are out there what their reaction to what just happened, what they just saw
I sure can.
is?
I've got a woman here who's trying to take my... Can I do this? There we go. There you are. May I have your name?
Mary Gaither.
Mary, what is your reaction to what you just saw?
I never see it go down. I never see it go down.
You love to see it go down?
I love to see it when it went down because it wasn't, they weren't kept up. And the people, well, you had to blame some of the tenants too, that it wasn't kept up.
They weren't kept up. They were very expensive too.
I know.
Did you live there, Mary?
I lived over on in the 700 Lexington Street.
Oh, okay.
And now we are on Freeman Avenue. And my husband and I have been in public housing for 50 years.
50.
50.
Wow. So you had friends who lived in Lexington Terrace. And you're glad to see this happen?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let me go. Come here, honey. Come here. Now, I just want your reaction to what just happened. Are you glad, are you sad, or what?
I'm glad.
Why?
Too many things happen in them buildings. I'm glad it went down. They can build another new building there for safety people, for people for children and stuff like that.
Right. Are these your children?
Yes.
Are these your children? Was this the first time you've seen an implosion?
No.
Oh, did you? Were you at Lafayette Court?
It was on the bridge. It was nice. It was like boom, boom, boom. I'm glad it went down.
And you liked it too, right, honey?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all in all, everyone seems very, very glad that this happened. And once again, it's the end of an old way of life and hopefully the beginning of a new way of life for people in public housing.
I lived in that building.
Yes, you did live in that building. You just watched your apartment go down, didn't you?
Yes.
Are you sad, or are you sad to see your home go?
Yes.
There we go. Oh, I found one sad person. Why are you sad?
Because I missed that building.
Well, you're going to have a new home to move into, okay, honey?
Yes.
There'll be a new way of life for you, okay? And you'll have a backyard. Would you like that?
Yes.
Have you ever had a backyard?
Yes.
Well, now you're really going to have one. Back to you guys.
Well, a social dinosaur lay to rest, and now something new and better is going to just rise up out of those ashes like a phoenix. Kelly, thank you so much for that live report. I guess we're going to try and go to Kai now.
Right. Kai Jackson is standing by live. He's at the 9th floor of University of Maryland Hospital parking garage. We're going to try to get in with KJ. KJ, are you there?
How are you, Tim and Katie? How are you?
All right.
Look, I'm here with Doug Loazzo. Tim, you'll remember him. You interviewed him just a few days ago, the vice CDI. How did it go?
Oh, it went really well, especially the holes that Tim loaded the other day. I mean, that made the job a real success.
Well, we now know Tim is a demolitions expert of sorts anyway. It was an amazing sight. An incredible thunderous explosion, a series of explosions, and then we saw the buildings cave in. What was the process, and how does that work?
Well, the process that we used, for 9 seconds before the initial explosions went off, we were initiating our detonators, and that's what the loud explosions were. And then we sequentially took the buildings down from south to north. The project went exactly as we planned.
Of course, there was some concern. You all, and we should note that you all moved up the explosion because the president is about to make a speech.
Right, Commissioner Henson called us. We were scheduled to go at 10:15. Mr. Clinton was going to come on television at 10:06, I think, so we moved it up to 10 o'clock.
Of course, about the Atlanta bombing. We're going to wrap up with you, Doug. Thank you very much. Glad it went off without a hitch, and we'll be talking to you later in the day. That's pretty much the situation out here, Tim and Katie. An incredible amount of dust rolled in there. We had to watch the cameras and so forth. So the cleanup starts now. Tim and Katie, back to you.
Thanks, Kai. Of course, we apologize for a little bit of transmission problem we had with Kai. Couldn't hear him just a little over the could hear him just a little over the static there. Want to explain too that Doug Loazzo, who's we were just talking to, was talking about some footage that I did trying to learn how to load some of the dynamite. So he's talking
when
about
they were actually prepping for that. We'll see that a little bit later in the newscast.
But,
something interesting. Let's take a look at the replay that we were able to get pictures of with our cameras that were down at the implosion, if we could.
Now, this is our unmanned camera that was sacrificed during this implosion. This camera is gone. It sent back the pictures, and that's the last picture you'll see out of that camera.
Well, we understand that camera is now history, just like the old Lexington Terrace.
Now, this was considered a new step forward in low-rent housing in 1957 when it was built. Of course, 38 years now have gone by. They considered it a failed project. A lot of people, as you just saw, are happy, thrilled this thing is going down. But
Well, they really, 38 years ago, saw this as something that would set the standard for public housing. It was big, they considered it modern, bright, clean, efficient, but what happened was it was as big and impersonal, too big and too impersonal to really foster that sense of community and nurture the sense of family and community. And
Right.
as we know now, it was a social dinosaur and a complete failure.
And good riddance, according to many people. They're just happy it's gone. And you mentioned, or you heard Kelly mention that there'll be some backyards there. The new housing projects that will be going in there will be low-rise, most of them 2 stories, most of them with backyards, townhome style. So it's going to be a very different look for the downtown skyline, at least on that West Baltimore side.
A lot of stress on the family unit.
Absolutely.
And strengthening it. Also, I want to mention, too, that you saw that enormous amount of dust. Apparently, within 5 minutes after the implosion, they're going to start removing the dust from the sidewalks, and then within 10 minutes, they'll be opening the streets, so things are already getting back to normal.
Right. And we're going back now. We're going to hear from President Clinton, who is standing by live with a comment on the bombing. Here we go now, live to CBS.
Everyone, you're watching Eyewitness News and our special coverage of a bombing incident in Atlanta. As we reported earlier, though, back here in Baltimore, the implosion at Lexington Terrace apartments. Apparently, there's been a new development.
Yes, absolutely. We are going now to live coverage with Kai Jackson, who is on the 9th floor of Maryland. He's at the Maryland
University of Maryland.
That's right, University of Maryland. Thank you for helping me out there, Kai.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's been kind of a confusing last few minutes. And what I want to start off by saying is that we understand, as you were alluding to, Tim, that a young girl was injured by some type of debris following the implosion or during the implosion. We're not exactly sure at what point. Here is video now of the scene. We understand that a young girl was around the area of MLK and Baltimore Street, and at the time of the implosion was injured while she was viewing the implosion. She was struck by debris and she was taken away by ambulance. We understand that the young girl has been transported to University Pediatrics. We do not have a name, we do not have an age or a condition at this point, but we do understand that she was transported, and you're looking at video shot by an Eyewitness News photographer immediately after this happened. Obviously, this is something that Controlled Demolition Incorporated, Tim and Katie, were trying to avert and trying to avoid. That's why they were so stringent with putting fences up and with keeping people back away from the demolition area. But again, dramatic video, as you see here, rescue crew personnel transporting this young lady to an ambulance, trying to get her medical aid. And all of this, obviously, coming at a very ironic and strange time, considering the bombing that happened down in Atlanta as well. And that's why, as we mentioned earlier, that this was actually moved up. Again, the time for this was set to take place at 10 o'clock. But so that it would not conflict with the president's speech on the events occurring in Atlanta, CDI decided to move up the time appropriately so the American public could listen to the president speak. But once again, the situation out here, as we understand it, a young girl, as you saw in that dramatic video just now, injured by some debris. We don't have an idea at this point, Tim and Katie, of what type of debris hit this young lady, or I suppose it looked like from the video that I saw, and I couldn't get that close to the monitor, but it looked like it struck her somewhere in the leg area. I will say immediately after the implosion, a cloud of dust rolled in here unlike anything I've ever seen before. So all of us were taking cover with masks and whatnot as well. Tim, Katie?
Thank you, Kai. And of course, we'll check back with you if you have anything else new. We'll check back with you in just a few minutes.
Certainly. All right, we'll do that.
As Kai mentioned, a cloud of dust rolled in from his vantage point there, University of Maryland parking garage. We have some video now to show you of the implosion as it took place. This is from Kai's vantage point, about 9 stories up. This is Lexington Terrace going down. This whole thing started from south to north, 5 buildings, 5 high-rises. They took about 15 to 20 seconds total to come down, starting with the first, right on around. You see it sweeping through. It took about 200 pounds of nitroglycerin-based dynamite to bring each building down, a little less than that. And of course, this is reminiscent of last year when they came down just a few miles away from that same spot in Lafayette Square, Lafayette Court.
Of course, last year, no one that we know of was hurt, and unfortunately, as Kai was reporting, there has been this incident today, and this is an illustration that even though there was so much celebrating going on and people so excited that finally these dinosaurs are going to be laid to rest, that we're dealing with a very, very dangerous thing here. And dynamite, you know, no matter what the occasion, even if when it's something that's positive like this, can really cause some big problems.
Absolutely. Doug Loazu, who is one of the principals for Controlled Demolition Incorporated, the company that brought those buildings down. We spoke with him earlier. He mentioned that one of the differences in an explosion and an implosion is that it seems to fascinate people that you can actually control something so uncontrollable. But of course, it's a totally different scenario. This is the camera we lost to this implosion. That camera was expendable. We sat it there, took this picture, camera fed back its pictures, and it's gone. We'll look at this one more time. But this was just a fascinating thing to many people. This, of course, was built in 1957. Many people thought it was going to be a great answer to many problems at the time, and it certainly turned out not to be that, at least for many folks. And it's gone now. Of course, we'll have complete coverage on this story at 6 o'clock. But right now, we're joined in our studio by Jim McGee. Jim came to us just out of the airport. He just got in from Atlanta. He spent some time down with the U.S. swim team, and he's